Imagine it's 20 years from now. You're sitting in a cafe in Tokyo. The person across from you speaks only Japanese. You speak only English. Neither of you has ever studied the other's language, yet your conversation flows naturally. Tiny earbuds translate every sentence almost instantly. No misunderstandings, no dictionaries, no language classes. If technology can do all that, then here's a fascinating question. Did the dream of a universal language just become obsolete? Or have we misunderstood that dream all along? The dream. For centuries, people searched for a way to overcome language barriers. Some relied on Latin. Others hoped French would unite educated Europe. Then came international auxiliary languages like Esperanto. Their goal wasn't to erase native languages. It was to give humanity a shared second language. One language spoken by everyone. That dream inspired generations of idealists. But then something unexpected happened. Instead of inventing a better language, we began inventing better translators. A quiet revolution. Only a decade ago, real-time translation felt like science fiction. Today, your phone can translate conversations. Signs, menus, websites, entire books. Artificial intelligence has made astonishing progress in understanding dozens of languages. Every year, the technology improves. For many everyday situations, the language barrier is already much smaller than it used to be. Which naturally raises a question. If machines can translate everything, why learn another language at all? What AI does brilliantly. Let's be fair, AI translation is extraordinary. Need directions in a foreign city? No problem. Reading a restaurant menu? Easy. Communicating with hotel staff? Simple. Businesses can negotiate internationally. Scientists can read research from around the world. Friends can exchange messages across languages. Tasks that once required years of language study can now happen in seconds. In many situations, AI already solves the practical problem that international auxiliary languages were designed to address. That's remarkable. But communication isn't just words. Now imagine a different situation. You're studying abroad for a year, working with the same colleagues every day, falling in love, raising a family. Can a translator replace a shared language? Perhaps partly, but probably not completely. Language isn't only about exchanging information. It's about thinking together, laughing together, sharing cultural references, building trust. The deeper the relationship, the more valuable direct communication becomes. A translator can tell you what someone said. It can't always capture why they said it that way. The human connection. Think about your closest friendships. Would they feel exactly the same if every conversation passed through a machine? Maybe, maybe not. When two people share a language, communication becomes effortless. The technology disappears. Only the conversation remains. That's something many supporters of Esperanto argued from the very beginning. The goal wasn't merely translation, it was shared understanding. Those aren't always the same thing. What about English? Some people argue that we already have an international language, English. And in many fields, they're right. Science, aviation, business, technology, English plays an extraordinary global role. But it also has limitations. Billions of people still don't speak it fluently. Learning it takes years, and because it's someone's native language, it isn't completely neutral. Artificial intelligence changes this equation. If translation becomes nearly perfect, perhaps English itself becomes less necessary. Ironically, AI may reduce the dominance of English more than it reduces the relevance of smaller languages. What about Esperanto? So, where does this leave Esperanto? At first glance, AI seems to make it unnecessary. Why spend months learning an auxiliary language if your phone translates instantly? That's a reasonable question. But perhaps Esperanto was never only about efficiency. People don't learn Esperanto solely to save time. They learn it to join an international community, to meet people, travel, read literature, attend congresses, experience communication on equal terms. Those motivations don't disappear simply because translation improves. Technology can translate conversations. It can't replace communities. A future we didn't expect. Maybe history took an unexpected turn. The 19th century imagined solving language barriers with one shared language. The 21st century may solve them with billions of personalized translators instead. The destination could be similar, the path completely different. But here's something worth considering. If every language can be translated instantly, then perhaps people no longer need to abandon their own languages in order to communicate internationally. For the first time in history, technology may allow linguistic diversity and global communication to grow together. That's an exciting possibility. So, do we still need an international language? The answer depends on what you mean by need. If your goal is simply exchanging information, AI is becoming astonishingly capable. If your goal is building lasting relationships, sharing a language still matters. If your goal is creating a politically neutral means of international communication, the debate remains open. And if your goal is understanding other cultures, there may never be a substitute for learning another language yourself. Perhaps the real lesson is this: translation and shared language aren't enemies, they're different solutions to different problems. Conclusion: we've spent this entire series asking one question: can humanity share one language? History offered many answers: Latin, French, Esperanto, English. Now, artificial intelligence offers another. Perhaps the future won't belong to one universal language after all. Perhaps it will belong to a world where every language can be understood. That would fulfill the dream of overcoming language barriers without asking anyone to give up the language that makes them who they are. And maybe that's an even more beautiful idea. If you've enjoyed this series, thank you for joining me on this journey through humanity's search for a common language. The question remains open, and perhaps that's exactly what makes it so fascinating.